All right, so we're getting ready to build the 636. Got all the tools out, all the exhaust, all the pipes, and we're gonna start with taking off the fairings. So we will unscrew every single bolt, get the fairings off, and that is the first part. So we took all of the plastics out that need to come off for reaching the body of the exhaust inside there. So you're gonna pull all of those so that everything can come off, and there's some tricky ones that are in there. Once you take those off, you'll be able to access your airbox and your headers. Okay, so all the fairings are off of the bike. Makes it a lot easier to get to the parts that you need to get to. I'm gonna loosen those 3 bolts and then put on the front axle sliders and the spools so I can lift the bike up on the pit bull stands. And that will help get it off the ground so I can work underneath it, get the headers off and everything. And you don't really want it to be on jack stands when you're taking the fairings and stuff off, because you have to be a little rough, especially in this area, to get that off of the cowl. You don't want to risk dropping it. So now that everything there is off and everything over here is off, we can add the sliders and stuff that we need to lift it up. So we're going to install the axle sliders. These are the directions if you're doing the same build as me. And we're gonna pop this side right into here after we take this part off and thread it. Okay, so the axle sliders are on. We're gonna put the rear spools on back here. And once we do that, we will be able to lift the bike up and get to the exhaust work. And so now that the bike is fully up, so we're gonna come under here, loosen all of those, and then bring it down. So we've gotten them all unbolted, and I just had to pull down to wiggle these out of there, and they're all ready to come out. But on this side, you just have to unscrew these 2 bolts right here so that the whole unit can drop down. And you want to disconnect this from right there, and you will be all set to take the stock exhaust off. So we're getting to the tank so that we can do the air filter. We unscrew this bolt over here, and then we're gonna loosen that right there so we can lift it and bring it back. And it's gonna come out on both sides, and then your tank will be able to come up. You can get right to the filter. So you're gonna take these 2 bolts off right here, and that's gonna let you lift your tank up so you can get to your airbox. So once you're underneath the tank and you start getting to the airbox, you're gonna wanna take off all of these screws right there on the perimeter. However, don't try to pull up until you get that 1 screw out of the middle. It's hard to see, and I didn't notice it at first, but you've got to get that 1 screw out in order for the airbox to come off. Now we have access to replace it with the new race filter, which is right there. And so the stock filter will pop right out, and the aftermarket one will literally slide into place, so you don't have to do any cutting, any fitting, any lubing. It's ready to go. Just pop in there and make sure you screw everything back in tight. And so after you get those 2 bolts off down there, you're just gonna come right here and loosen these with a 10 mil to get this part off, and the whole thing should drop. And everything else is unscrewed. The entire stock system is off. Everything came off fully assembled, perfectly fine. You just remove all the bolts and it'll drop right down. We've got the new headers installed, not fully tightened just yet. Let me see if I can get that to focus. We put the springs on both sides to make sure that these pipes are connected and held on. Now this part is where the exhaust tip is gonna go. What you have to do with your O2 sensor, because stock, it comes out of this clip, traced down over here, and it hangs right here inside this loop. You have to retrace that so that it goes through and comes down on this side, because the new piece that it's gonna go into is gonna be located over here instead of previously right here where your stock cat would be. So just know that in installing the aftermarket M4 full titanium exhaust system, you need to have retraced your O2 sensor so that you can change the spot where it's located. Thing about the aftermarket M4 exhaust system is that it's going to come with this piece right here. So before finishing, after you get your headers on, after you get this mid pipe right here on, you're going to want to take these two screws out to remove your rear foot right side, your rear right side foot peg. This is going to come off because the stock screws are short. You're going to put the aftermarket screws in that are longer so that this piece, this bracket, this triangle bracket can go on. It's going to go through over there. There's a washer that it comes with. Let me see if I can show you that. Back here and right here, which the second one is, let me see if I can find a spot. There you go. The second one's right there. The washer's on the end, but you need to screw these two long ones through on this triangle frame that they send you, because now when you connect your exhaust, it's gonna screw on right here. So it's no longer gonna go in right here like the stock one did. This one is pointed outwards a little more. It's a little shorter, a little thinner, and it sits a little slightly higher. So that's where you're gonna mount this bracket onto the exhaust while it slides in through there and everything is connected. And you will put this right in here, and it comes with a new piece there that will fill in here, and then this screws into it. But it also comes with another piece in this bag right here if you want to completely delete your O2 sensor. Okay, so we connected this pipe to the mid pipe, and that's on properly. Then we installed the rubber on the exterior of the M4 with it facing this way, because that's the way we want the design to go. And it screws in right to that bracket that we previously put on. So that screws back into your foot peg, that screws back into your foot peg, and then this screws right over here onto that bracket. So we're just gonna tighten that up. And so now that everything is screwed on properly and attached, the full titanium exhaust system from front to back is complete. We no longer have a cat in the bike because this mid pipe replaces the cat and allows you to put your O2 sensor plugged right into it after you reroute it. So got the exhaust tip screwed into this new triangle bolt, comes all the way through to the headers, and you've got your coils that go on both sides, one down there, and the last one connects these. It's all snug, everything is good. Retraced your O2 sensor, so it goes around through there. And there we have it. Full exhaust system done. Airbox is done. Next we'll install the servo buddy. Gonna remove these, pull them all the way through and out. Plug the servo buddy up over there, and then we will work on the levers. Okay, so we're gonna install the servo buddy, and you have to pull these wires. They come over in this hook. They're gonna come up through here, and you're gonna pull them out from right here. They're lined on the inside of there usually. And you're gonna disconnect them from right here and pull this whole thing all the way out. You should have those two loose wires, and I'll show you where we're going to plug the servo buddy into in just a second. So we've completely taken the motor out, and these are the wires that we traced and removed. Only had to mess with 2 bolts, and this is out, and the servo buddy will plug right into these 2 pieces. Comes in this box. And those 2 pieces will line up perfectly with those, and now it'll be safe to turn on our bike without getting a check engine light. And so now the servo buddy is plugged in. You should get no check engine light for your new catless exhaust system. And we're gonna zip tie this to this frame after we tuck it under, because you don't want it to be rattling around in here while you're riding. It ties on the bar around the servo buddy, so you shouldn't have any issues. Alrighty, so we unscrewed the 4 that were previously there, added the new NBC integrated blinkers. So we've put the new blinkers in, which these are now going to be the blinkers, and you run them through the same way the other ones came out, and then the plate holder gets screwed into the same 2 bolts out of the 4 on that bracket, and that's where you're going to put your plate on, there and there. The plate light is there. All the wires come through, and you're going to plug in your plate light right on here, and then your blinkers in the 2 grays. And so just to make sure everything's plugged in properly, the tail light is still on. We've got left blinker, and it's still working properly up front. And we've got right blinker and the plate light, and everything is still working up front. So this is gonna plug in back over here when I put the fairings and such on. All right, and so we've got the RC2 CRG brake lever on, and the clutch lever. I want that to have a little bit more play, so I'm probably gonna adjust this, but yeah, everything is all set. Alrighty, it is time for the moment of truth. It's the first time starting it up. Let's see how this baby sounds. We gotta put her in gear. First neutral right there. All right, here we go. Alrighty, we got the new exhaust on there, and we got the high flow air filter, all the shorty levers, everything to test out how much better we are going to get this bike to perform. Let's see what we got. She sounds good. Gonna turn off the traction control, keep her in full power, and let's see what this baby can do. So she looks good, she sounds good. She's accelerating fast as fuck. I think I'm gonna have to tune it though. Definitely gonna have to tune it.